What's going on, everyone? So, I've talked about the boy in white before in the past, and even recently did a video on the boy in white and just the transformation that he is going through. And the more that I talk about the boy in white, the more frustrated I become by the boy in white. The boy in white is the least helpful person I think I've ever seen. Right? He's constantly like doing stuff, but not really. Like he's like he'll show up and kind of point you in the right direction. Kind of murmur some stuff like get in the tree to like Sarah and stuff like that. But like really is no help. Really is a complete redundancy. And it is so frustrating, right? Obviously, look, it's movie logic, it's show logic, right? Like, if the boy in white just answered everyone's questions and told you, hey, if everyone just goes into the tree and hugs each other and jumps out, right? Like, out the lighthouse, you all escape at the same time, right? It's a very short series, right? Like, yeah, you're talking a 10-minute series. It's just like, oh, just find the boy in white, he'll give you the answer, and you're good, right? But there are these frustrations, in my opinion, because it's like he's been there for so long, and it's like, why haven't you just relayed to the people that you trust, right? Like Victor was chopping down the tree. Boy in white didn't like that very much, right? Boy in white was not very happy about that with Victor. However, I'm not gonna lie, either you're taking me out and we're going to test our friendship, or you're going to tell me everything I need to know, because I ain't stopping chopping this tree down. I am chopping away. I am chopping twice as hard, right? Like, if that was me. But I digress, right? Like, Victor even asked the boy in white, like, hey, help. I need help, right? You're supposed to be my friend. I thought we were friends. And boy in white says, we are friends. You've been my friend this entire time, and you've just watched me suffer. You've just watched the people of this town suffer. You're supposed to be good, right? You're supposed to be this good presence and on our side, and yet you do nothing really to help. No, and it's like the boy in white relays, oh, well, I tried to help by telling Christopher. Okay, you told Christopher something 40 years ago and he told you to shove it. And what, now everybody has to die? Now 40 years later, you can't tell your best friend, you can't tell the people that you've watched actively try to get out of here. Again, Christopher, according to Victor, completely lost his mind, right? So no wonder you told the one guy that went off the rails, went off the deep end. Right? Like, but why not tell Victor? Why not have a real conversation with Victor and just be like, hey, I can't tell you everything. There's some restrictions, right? Like, if there was some explanation to it, right? If it was just like, this place prevents me, right? I can only tell you so much. Cool. Got it. Boom. Makes sense. Let's roll with it. Let's get to this story at some point, right? But maybe it's just me, but I find it incredibly silly, that the only reason that the boy in white doesn't want to relay information is because 40 years ago he told Christopher, and Christopher told him to go F himself, right? Like, that's so... Has he not been paying attention? Does he not see Boyd doing everything in his power to save this town, save the people? You don't think Boyd, right, would not do like, if the boy in white was like, hey, Boyd, you have to do this, you don't think that he would do it, right? Unless it's some like crazy heinous act, right? Like, and maybe that's what it is, right? Like, how like Sarah thought she had to like take out Ethan, right? Like, if the boy in white told Christopher, like, hey, you gotta go through the tree, but the only way to like save the kids is you have to like re-sacrifice the kids, or you have to sacrifice new kids or something like that, whatever, right? I could see Christopher being like, yeah, like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. But again, like, it's like, after all this time, you're just sitting here watching people die. You're just sitting here, just, what? Are you paying attention? Would kind of be my point. Like, if I'm Victor, I'm like, dude, like, That was like 40 years ago, right? Like, it's not like you told Boyd and Boyd told you to go F yourself. No, you literally told somebody that was losing their mind and off their marbles, talking to a dummy, and like, you don't have any type of like analysis skills. Like, you don't have any type of like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best candidate, right? Like, now it's like, okay, if you don't want to tell anyone else, tell me. I'll do it. I'll tell whoever I need to tell to do it. If Jade has to go through the tree now because he's the new iteration of Christopher, fine, so be it. Tell me and I'll talk to Jade. I will talk to Tabitha, and me and Tabitha together will talk to Jade. Whatever you gotta do. But tell something, say something, right? It's the whole saying, see something, say something, right? It's just like, I wish that there was just more reasoning behind it. I feel like it's almost like a lazy explanation, personally, right? Like, it's just like, oh, well, why don't you want to help us no more? I tried to help you one time, and I told Christopher, and Christopher didn't want to listen. Okay, and everybody died, and I was the only one left, and then we developed a friendship over, the last 40 years. I just asked you if you're my friend. You said we are, and you won't relay to me what is going on. Like, I actually thought when the boy in white turned around and just started walking away, I thought it was like he wanted Victor to follow him, but then Victor didn't follow him, and then he ended up in the cellar, and I was just like, oh, okay, so then maybe he's not supposed to follow him. But I thought like maybe the boy in white was going to show him something or take him somewhere or do something. And no, nothing. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's silly. It's just like, okay, like, come here. Let me show you Boyd for 20 minutes. Right? Like, let me tell you what. I won't even show you. Let's sit down and let me tell you some stories about Boyd. And you tell me if you think that he'll do whatever it takes. Right? Like, or tell Sarah to tell Boyd or whatever, right? Like, whatever you got to do. Do something. Right? And it's why so many people think, the boy in white is just inherently evil, which would make sense, right? Like, what if the problem is we don't know exactly what he told Christopher, right? Like, Victor relayed the story, but not what Jade actually had to do, right? Like, again, what if it was something heinous? What if it was something that he had to do that was evil? That like, hey, you gotta kill all the kids in the town or something like that. And it's like, whoa, buddy. Like, I'm not doing that, right? Like, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, then I can't help you, right? Like, I could see if it was something major like that, maybe somebody not wanting to do that. And it's like, also, do I trust you? I don't know you. But Victor does. And Victor does trust him. And assuming the boy in white is somebody good and not somebody evil, right? Like, why wouldn't you trust Victor? You've built this relationship and established this connection. That's why I would have rather it been something where it was like, I'm restricted. I can't anymore. No, I tried to tell Christopher that one time because, what happened, right? And you have like some new thing, like, oh, because, I had this moment where I was able to kind of break the connection or something like that from this place. So I was able to kind of relay, but now I have to follow under these rules. So I'm not allowed, and just have some like more thoughtful reasoning behind it personally, right? Look, it's not something that like bothers me that much, it's a little over dramatization if I'm being honest, but it's like frustrating. Right? I'm sitting there watching it. I'm watching like Victor and the boy in white's interaction, and I'm just like, dude, like out of everybody, like your logic is the dumbest logic ever. It's just like, what are we talking about here? You're telling me that the reason that you're okay with everybody dying and us needing to figure stuff out for ourselves and all this stuff is because you told some lunatic 40 years ago something and he didn't want to do it, right? Like, You didn't think like, hey, maybe I'll try again? If you tried 15 times, it's like, hey, I've tried it. But every time I tell somebody, they tell me to go F myself. I told, Christopher, and I told the version of Christopher before Christopher, and I told Jade, and I told Boyd. Like, how many people am I supposed to tell, Victor, right? Like, if it was something like that, I'd be like, all right, bet. Like, I get the point. But it's not. It's like, oh, yeah, 40 years ago, I tried to help, and look what happened. And it's like, dude, that was 40 years ago. This wasn't yesterday. All right, come here. Let me show you Boyd for a minute. Come sit down. Right? Let's sit around. Let's build a fire, and let me tell you some legendary tales of Boyd. Right? Like, I think that would be a better approach, to just kind of have some type of grandiose explanation. Right? Like, he's bound to this place, and so he can only reveal certain things or whatever. Right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my little rant? Do you agree with my kind of frustrations about this? Do you think, like, nah, it's silly? Like, that's their explanation. That is what it is. Again, it's just fun video, just talking. Like I said, it's just something that every time I talk about the Boy White, I'm just like, dude, like, come on. Right? But again, I feel whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.